Hey, friends, and welcome. My name is Felice Gerwitz, and today I have a Just for Kids episode. The topic today is lessons we can learn from soldiers. You can find today's episode at vintagehomeschoolmoms.com, episode 493, Soldier Lessons. So, what are Just for Kids episodes? These are episodes that are geared for, that's right, your kids. So if you want to listen first, go ahead and then gather your kids around, because today I think we all can learn from the soldiers that we know in our lives. I would like to thank today's sponsor, that's CTC Math. It's a wonderful math curriculum for your homeschool needs and to brush up on new skills. They are a proud sponsor of the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network, as well as Vintage Homeschool Moms. Well, what are soldier lessons? Well, these are things that we can learn from soldiers and apply to our lives. The military men and women that you may know are very tough. And how do they get tough? Well, it's because of training. And they have a motto that they live by. These are men and women who volunteer to join the armed forces. And we know that the armed forces are people that protect us in the United States, and they keep us safe. So no matter what you think about the military, we can all learn something about them. I want to ask you a question. Do you know a soldier? Maybe you know a family member, or maybe a neighbor. Maybe you live in a town that has a military base. Maybe you know what a soldier does, and maybe this is new information to you. In my family, my youngest son is in the Army. He's a second lieutenant. I've watched him work very hard to get in shape and to eat right, and this is way before he was sent for training. He joined the Army when he was in college. I didn't even know that you could do that, truthfully. I knew that people enlisted, and that is right out of high school, or maybe they did an ROTC program in their high schools, but I didn't really know that people did this in college as well, and that's what he did. Well, I watched him work really, really hard to get in shape, and I think we can learn so much from our soldiers and apply it to our own lives, and that's what this episode is all about. Learning by watching others and using useful information in your own life. Each branch of the military has a set of rules that the soldiers follow, but most of them are very similar. And when I share these things with you, you might be saying, hey, I learned about that. We did a lesson on character qualities and attributes. And character qualities are good things that we can do in our lives. In fact, I have a whole program on character qualities on MediaAngels.com that you can check out. But when we think about character and good character, what do we think about? Well, there's words like loyalty, honor, respect, duty, giving of yourself, courage, and integrity. Now, some of these words you may know what they mean, and others maybe not so much. But what do those words mean to you? In a family, we do some of these things. We are loyal to each other, aren't we? If you have brothers and sisters, or even a good friend, and someone wants to pick on them, you get really angry and you want to stand up for them, don't you? You don't like anyone saying anything bad about someone in your family. Why? Because you're loyal to your family. That's where your bond is. That's where you have a relationship. What about respect? Well, we have respect for our parents and our siblings. Sometimes we have to work on that respect, and we get in trouble when we're disrespectful, right? What about the word duty? Well, a duty is something that is required of us. It is something that we need to do. Think about it like chores. Do you have assigned chores or things you need to do? Well, that is one way of thinking about a duty. But another way is thinking about something that is an obligation, something that you do, something that is important. Another way to think about Army life and being a soldier is of giving of yourself. A lot of these people have enlisted, or they've joined the Army, or Navy, or Air Force, or any of the other branches of the military. We have people in our family that were in the Navy, and I know people who were in the Air Force. So there's different branches of the military, and each one of them do different things, but they volunteered. That means they gave of themselves. And when we think about a soldier, we think about other words as well, like courage. But let's go back to our family. When you give of yourself to your family, what does that mean? You didn't sign up for your family, right? You were born into a family, but you were chosen. We believe that God put your family together on purpose. So every single person in your family, from your mom to your dad to your siblings, are there for a reason. We give of ourselves when we do things within our family, don't we? And some of it is called sacrifice. But what about courage? What does that mean? Well, courage is being strong and brave. You might not need to be strong and brave within a family, but maybe you do. Maybe you need courage to stand up for something or stand up for yourself. If you're the youngest in your family, sometimes you have to stand up to an older brother and sister. Sometimes we have to stand up for what is right if we see someone doing something that isn't. And that brings us to integrity. What is integrity? That is doing what is right, sometimes when we don't feel like doing what is right. But integrity is honor. It is doing things because it is the right thing to do, not necessarily because it is something we want to do. I noticed something remarkable when I watched my soldier son and his friends, and that is they are self-motivated. What does this mean? It means they do the hard things because they are supposed to do them, not because someone makes them do it. I watched my son train when he was in college. I watched him fill a backpack with 45 pounds of weight, and he walked and then he ran until he could do at least 5 miles well. It turns out that he had to do 12 to 14 miles when he was in training. And he was glad that he had spent the time early on so that 5 miles didn't really feel that far, and he kept adding to it. Walking and running with a heavy weight on your back is very hard. He said in training he sometimes had a backpack that weighed over 100 pounds, and they had to do things like training in different terrains. They had to train on flatlands, they had to climb things, they had to train in water, in the mountains, and even in the swamps. And this prepared the soldiers for the different terrains or areas that they might experience when they were in different countries or different places. What these young men do is they train to be ready. Think about that. What are they ready for? Well, they're ready to protect our country. They're ready to protect us. And none of us want to go to war. They are protecting us and keeping us safe. What about you? Are you ready? Are you ready for your life? How are you training to be the best you can be? Many times we try to get away with doing the least amount of work. Am I describing you? Or am I describing someone you know? What if you're asked to clean up your room? It's easier to pick up your clothes and put them away? Or is it easier to kick them under the bed for another time? Which do you think? Well, if you said kick them under your bed for another time, you're not training to be the best because it's a short-term solution. What does this mean? This means that at some point, you're going to have to pick it up or someone else is going to have to. Why not do it the right way the first time? My son asked me why I wanted to do this podcast, and I told him because I was so impressed with the training that he had. He is in infantry, and that meant that he had to do the Army Rangers program. Right now, he's not going into Special Forces, but that doesn't matter. Even as an officer, he has to train to learn how to do things with very little sleep and with very little food. And that's what he had to do. It was a hardship. And as I watched him going through this program, and we had a lot of hardships. We couldn't talk to each other. We only got to see him one time in a 2-month period. And it was difficult because it wasn't like we could pick up the phone and talk to him either. He was in training. But as he went through this very, very hard training, these men had to go through the things that we talked about. They had to be loyal and honorable. They had to be respectful. They had to give of themselves and have courage and integrity. And out of the 380 people who signed up initially and were going through this program, at the very end, only, I think about 75 people went through it the first time. Over 140 graduated with his class, but out of that, 70 people had to go through the program more than one time. If you failed one section, you had to go back and do it again. And this meant that the soldiers were very, very sad, because instead of getting to move on and getting to sleep and eat, they were going to have to go through very hard training, and they knew how hard it was because they've already done it. Some of these men were not honorable. They were not loyal. They did not do what they were supposed to do. And little things could cause them to get dropped. For example, if they didn't have all of the supplies packed that they were required, or if they couldn't do their physical test, like push-ups and sit-ups and running within a certain amount of time. Our lives can be the best they can be or the worst we can be. Who wants to be last or a loser? I don't think any of you raised your hand. Now, you might say you don't care, but I don't know if I believe that. All of us care. Sometimes when we say we don't care, it's because we're disappointed. Or we feel like, why should we care? Because no one else cares. But that's not true. Even if you're the one who cares, even if you're the one who only cares about how well you do, you should still do the best you can. Because we can learn from the life of a soldier. Soldiers must do the best they can, or they will be cut and fail their training. They will be sent to the end of training, or they have to do it all over again, or worse, gets dropped. If they get dropped from the training, some of them can't go back for 3 years and try again. That means they're going to get jobs that no one else wants. If a soldier does the best he can, he will be selected for important jobs because they have proven that they can do it. Do you want to get the best job you can or the worst job? If you show you can do the easy stuff, you will, and you'll be able to practice to do the harder stuff. No one, not even a soldier, is great at his job all the time or the first time. Let's say that you're not happy, or you may think no one cares about you. Should you even try? Why bother? Maybe that's what you think. The only person who can care is yourself. Your mom can't make you care, and your dad can't make you care. Your brothers and sisters can't make you care. No one can really force you to care. Sure, you can get punished if you don't do a job right. But truly, can anybody change your mind? That's pretty powerful when you have the ability to change your own mind and do the best you can. Not because someone else says you should, but because it's the honorable thing to do. It shows you have integrity. It shows that you are just. And that is what being a soldier is. the kind of soldier that puts integrity and honor first. Integrity is doing what is right and not cheating. It is trusting yourself to make good choices. Honor is caring and respecting others and serving others in a way that is right and just. After this podcast, I want you to stop and think about these words and what they mean to you. Write down the words loyalty, honor, respect, duty, giving of yourself. Selfless is the word that sums that up. Courage and integrity. Think about how you live your life and think about ways you can improve. All of us can get better and learn from others. Not just kids, but adults as well. How can you be more loyal? How can you show honor and respect within your family? How can you do your duty in a way that is correct? And how can you give of yourself to family and friends? What about courage and integrity? How can you use those words and live that way in your daily life? As I said earlier in the training, some of the soldiers go through sleep deprivation. That means they don't have enough time to sleep. It means that they have to spend each day doing what they're supposed to do, and they often work through the night. Sometimes they stay up all night. Not having enough to eat is hard, and it means the soldiers go hungry. Why does this happen? It happens to make the soldiers stronger and to show them that they can withstand this type of hardship. And if they can withstand this type of hardship and still work and still persevere and still not cheat, they can do anything in their lives. They keep going. They do not stop. They do what they are told, and they do it to the best of their ability. Are they going to be thinking clearly? Probably not. Are they going to be hungry? Absolutely. They are hungry, they are tired, and they're pushed beyond their limits. But this makes them stronger. Thankfully, you and I get to have a life where we go to bed and we get food. No one makes us wake up and take walks in the wood and do training. I'm happy about that. Aren't you? In your life, you can even probably eat snacks if you're hungry. Well, try to be like a soldier and don't eat your snacks one day, or maybe give up dessert that day. How does that make you feel? If you can deny yourself a treat, you can deny yourself something else like doing what is wrong. That's called self-control. You may be tempted to sneak a cookie before mealtime when your mom tells you to wait. And if you can have self-control, that shows yourself, as well as others, that you can do what is right and honorable. Showing yourself you have willpower, that is, the power to go against the easy way, will make you a stronger person. And we all want to be stronger people. I hope this makes you think about the ways that you can improve on your life. Can you make a plan to try one thing a day? One day, try to be loyal. Another day, add respect to that. Another day, try to do your chores or schoolwork the best you can. Another time, try to be helpful and try to be courageous and stand up for what is right. Try to have integrity and do the best that you can. Can you imagine if everyone tried to live like that? We would all be stronger and so much better. When people do not act the best, it causes us to pay in some way. We lock our cars and our homes because we're worried somebody may steal from us. We put our money in the banks for the same reason. People get hurt when others do not act honorably. But the best place to show that we can be the best we can be is in your own home. If you can try these things without anyone knowing about it, and I am sure you will get noticed. If you try to be honorable and just, do you think people in your family are going to notice? Even if they don't, doing the right thing should give you a sense of accomplishment. Just like being bad gets attention, being good and doing what is right gets attention as well. I pray that looking at the good qualities of a soldier, that is, to fight and protect us, is very helpful in our own country, and it helps us in our own homes. It is designed to keep us safe. Acting honorably in your own family will be helpful to you as well. Well, thanks so much for listening to this episode of Life Skills That We Can Learn from a Soldier. If you want today's show notes, you can find them at vintagehomeschoolmoms.com, just for kids episode 493. And if you enjoyed this episode, I encourage you to like it and share it with a friend, because this helps us tremendously. And that is doing what is right and what is noble. Thanks so much for listening. God bless, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.